What's the weirdest sexual experience you've had? Did anal for the very first time? I actually was saving my asshole virginity for that special someone, but nope, all of my holes have done the nasty. Anywho, I experienced anal for the very first time when I was 26. I'm 28 now. I was drinking with my current partner, M30, and he decided to get the lube out. I was so intoxicated that when he went in for the first time, oh my goodness. And I pray to all of the gods of every corner and inch of this universe and beyond that it truly, and I shit you not, actually blew my fucking mind. My hearing started to become impaired and my vision was slowly fading away. I swear to fucking God that I was having an out-body experience and was about to astral project into pure climatic euphoria. Definitely a very profound and weirdest sexual experience ever. Edit. Thank you so much for the awards. And sorry for the punctuation and spelling. I can't contain my excitement and enthusiasm about my experience of anal. Truly magical smiling face. I wasn't involved in it directly, but long story short, during a hotel stay with my ex, she threw a tantrum and punched me in the face. I decided to go wait for a bus home. I was done with her shit. Bus left at like 6 a.m. and it was currently about 2 a.m., so I sat outside the hotel and had a ciggy while I mulled it over. Couple of guys walked past, they looked friendly. I wasn't in much of a smiling mood but gave them a nod. They came back with a bucket of ice and one of the guys asked if I wanted to chill with them, pointing to his nose. As an occasional dabbler in fun substances, I thought yeah, fuck it, why not? And went with them. We walked up to their room and inside were about 8 men jacking off, gay porn on the massive TV and a pile of condoms on the table. I'm straight, but having nothing against homosexuality. They gave me a dab of MDMA and I sat there chatting fairly awkwardly to these guys as they stroked themselves, occasionally going in pairs to another room to do stuff. They offered a few times if I'd like to join in, but I politely declined. They were also asking if I was sure I was okay with all of this. I was, but also felt super awkward having never really been much of a talker when it comes to private subjects. That was about it really. It was a surreal night. Edit. I'm so sorry, I am an idiot and just realized what sub this is. So at the time my relationship with my ex was dying. So I asked if he had any fantasies he wanted to do to spice up our sex life. His request was for us to be cousins, but like slack-jawed hillbilly cousins. I was young and didn't want to lose my boyfriend, so I went along with it. He had us dress up in flannel and cowboy hats and insisted I call him cousin the whole time. When he came he called out the name of his actual cousin. It's hands down my weirdest and most uncomfortable sexual experience. We broke up shortly after. Had a guy ask me to bite his dick while I was blowing him. I paused and asked, hamburger or hot dog style. He got really mad and left, but it was a sincere question. I'd never been asked to do that. F28. Second time doing anal with my BF at the time. So it's going great, but I'm on top in reverse cowgirl and all of a sudden he gasps. I look over my shoulder in slow motion horror to discover that I pooped on him. It was embarrassing and hilarious. We're not together anymore. I hope he tells other people the story about the time a grown woman pooped on him. And he still came at the end. My personal favorite is the bodybuilder dude who stared at himself in the mirror during sex American Psycho style. Gave a guy a blowjob while he was on FaceTime with his family. It was really awkward and kind of funny. I have a few, mostly involving a very inexperienced 22-years-old guy. The first was with when I was 18. I should have known when he bought me cat ears and a tail and asked me to purr and lick myself. Or when he starts dirty talking and keeps talking about getting me pregnant. But by far the weirdest was when we were doing it doggy style and he grabs a Sharpie off the bedside table and just sticks it in my butt with no warning or discussion whatsoever. I'd never had anything in my ass before, so I was shocked and just kind of let it happen. I'm a pretty kinky person now, but I still draw the line at non-consensual butt Sharpies. Let's just say, if you're thinking of hooking up with a guy for a one-night stand, make sure he isn't a cokehead first. I was in college. Met this guy, went back to his place, he starts snorting cocaine and asked if I wanted some. I was like, nah, I'm good. Lol. Anyway, we were about to do the deed. He was going to enter me from behind, and the asshole does a bump or whatever right off my bare back, and then squirts before he can even get it in me. I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I was young and stupid and put myself into a bad and weird situation. Oh, man. 10+ years ago I was seeing a guy who owned a restaurant. He was probably 8 to 10 years older than I was. Nice little restaurant and his home was above it. It was nicer than it sounds, kinda. We go upstairs to fool around and he decides he wants to go down on me. I told him no, I'm on my period. He said he didn't mind and I use tampons so he wasn't worried. So I agreed. As he's doing his thing, the motherfucker rips out my tampon with his teeth and tosses it to the floor and goes back to work. Scared the hell out of me. It was a sensation I wasn't prepared for and grossed me out. Tears of joy couldn't function after that and made him stop. My ex was giving me oral sex and then I felt this super weird, wet sensation on my anus. It felt so unbelievably uncomfortable, but so damn good at the same time, so I asked him what the hell he was doing to find out that he was licking my anus to my vagina grimace that literally sent electricity all over my body. LMAO. I asked him why he suddenly did that because I thought it would be disgusting to him, and he answered playfully, "What if I wanted to dig some gold out of there?" Wink asterisk winking face. Definitely one of the weirdest sexual experiences I've ever had so far. But fuck, he was so damn attractive at that moment. Bad boys are so hot. Weirdest in like a not traumatizing way. I hit his dab pen a few times. IDK what was in it, but when we got down to it I thought his dick was a snake. But I also didn't question it. I was just like, this is fine, and got on top of him. Woman shrugging, medium light skin tone. That would have to be the mid-20s virgin who cried in my bed for almost an hour. I was unaware he was inexperienced, though I should have been able to guess from the awkward foreplay. I realized the situation we were in when he asked me how I knew what size condom to buy. He was gazing at the little package with such confusion and awe. Silence when I asked if he'd done this before. 3 minutes later, tears and asking if I thought he was weird. I entered mom mode and basically consoled him until he finally got dressed and left. Edit. To clarify, he was obviously uncomfortable and not ready. It wouldn't have been cool press him to continue. I told him he had nothing to be embarrassed about, that he wasn't weird at all, and asked if he wanted to just watch TV for a bit. Before he left I gave him a big hug and wished him well, then deleted his phone number. I honestly felt bad after the whole affair. Edit 2. My first ever award. Thanks. He told me to fight back or try to get away or he can't finish. I didn't know what to do and didn't do anything. Eventually he just stopped and got up and ranted how I'm bad at satisfying men while he was putting on his clothes. What the fuck? We were doing it under the covers. His little sister walked in and he wanted to keep going with her in the room, nauseated face. Had my husband and I try rope one time, completely not something we do, but we were bored and just moved in together. Tied me up and then we couldn't untie the knot for hours and of course it was so tight around my hands and feet we didn't want to use a knife or scissors, so we used a sharp comb to tear the rope apart. Needless to say it was a pretty odd night. Not that weird, but once had a guy freak out when he woke up and I had gone to the kitchen in the middle of the night for a glass of water. He started going around banging on all the doors looking for me. He ended up getting into a fight with my flatmate, a 6'4" dude, at 3 a.m. Both of them in their boxers. I was like, geez man, chill the fuck out. It's not like I can do a hump and dump, one night stand, leave before you wake up type thing. You are in my apartment. We stopped seeing each other shortly after. Years ago I lived in this anarcho-punk girl house and developed a crush on one of my roommates. I was also on Plenty of Fish, long time ago, and met up with this fellow. He was nice but a bit weird. I invited him to the house because, let's face it, an anarcho-punk girl house is pretty damned safe. Anyway, the date is kind of a nothing, but he appeared to really like my roommate as well. He asked if he could come back just to hang out another time. She and I both said yes. Fast forward a couple days. He comes back and things get a bit hot and heavy on the sofa between the three of us. My roommate leads us all upstairs to my bedroom. She goes to her room for a second and comes back with leather hand and foot cuffs. He's down. At this point I'm just bewildered, and she tells him to lay on his stomach. She cuffs him hand and foot to the bed and has me sit on his upper back while she sits on his legs holding a soft flail. Everyone is consenting. Everyone is fine. I am just a noob from a farm town and have never in my life even thought of something like this. She begins testing him with the flail and gives him a safe word, red. She begins beating the ever-loving heck out of his butt. I am stunned to silence. She gets him one really good and he makes a sound. She says, "Did I say you could laugh?" and whacks him harder. I check and said, "He's not laughing. He's sobbing." She shrugged and kept going. About a minute later she releases him and tells him to leave, which he does, never to be seen or heard from again. Then she and I made out. So yeah. That is burned into my mind. It feels so surreal to even remember it. She was one radiant femme. Also, she scared the bejesus out of me. Lol. A couple comes to mind. I cried after I came once. It wasn't like I hadn't an orgasm before, but this was an earth-shattering. Seeing Star's orgasm, my boyfriend just laughed and hugged me. I think he was really flattered by it. The second one, I fooled around with a guy while his friend was in the room. We had blanket over us so he couldn't see what we were doing. I was very young and drunk. Cold sweat smile. He bit my vagina during oral. He bit me because he thought it would feel good. Fucking amateur tired.